We just don't seem to get along. You are exempt from coming in tomorrow." My maximum had been reached. I could no longer work for a boss like that. "Understood," I instantly replied. "With effect from today, I will step down. I appreciate the short time I've been here." It was decided then and then that I would quit the job I loved. A recently hired clerk arrived to inform me that there was a guest when I was acclimating to the hectic days. Wonder what it is. As I made my way to the reception area, where Samantha was waiting, I thought, "John, please, won't you come back to our company?" Samantha instantly knelt down on the ground as she saw me. Samantha, who used to be overbearing and aggressive with staff, was no longer present. John Baker is my name. For 20 years, I had been employed at a small-town boutique couture shop. Despite being a couture shop, we also handle suits, shirts, and even school uniforms because the number of customers seeking couture has decreased recently. This has allowed us to continue operating to this day. I am fond of this company because of its principles and community links, not because I am unhappy with it. However, the company's gloomy outlook started when the president, who had been in charge of it, became ill. The president had founded the boutique when he was younger, but he had recently been ill. His granddaughter, Samantha Smith, who had no prior experience in this profession, succeeded him once he eventually became unable to present at the shop front. Although the change was made, her approach to people was simply awful, regardless of how well she performed at work. In particular, the new president targeted me. "How have sales been lately, Samantha?" she asked me, obviously in a foul mood. "I'd like you to get some new contracts soon." "Yes, I've been making rounds, but it's hard to find individuals interested in couture," I responded. It may seem like a justification, but it's true that people's interest in couture has been declining over time. It's also a fact that our couture boutique model is fading. But Samantha gave me a lot of reprimands. "I'm tired of hearing justifications. You just haven't done enough. It's not that contracts are impossible to obtain. It is insufficient until you obtain them. Is it sufficient to simply see our regulars? I need you to get new customers." Samantha exhaled loudly as she said this. "Don't expect to remain here indefinitely. Spend more time outside. Wait until you have a contract before returning." Samantha got up and grabbed a well-tailored suit and her fancy bag. Samantha, who spent her working hours at saunas and spas, started to lose the respect of the staff because the president represents the company. "Miss President, are you going on vacation?" "For a meeting regarding the uniforms we provide, we must be prepared by 3:00 p.m. Before I could finish, Samantha slammed her bag onto the desk with a loud noise. "Excuse me?" A break. Understand this. A president doesn't have breaks. It's troublesome to be lumped together with your regular employees. You never know where a good opportunity might pop up, and it's essential to show your face around. Think before you speak, will you? With that, Samantha turned swiftly and headed for the exit. Her large diamond necklace shone brightly, almost blindingly. Right as lunch break started, I hurried through my meal. Ever since the previous president fell, the luxury of a leisurely meal had disappeared. Since Samantha took over, there's been an increased focus on performance and contract numbers, with no tolerance for maintaining the status quo or regression. There have been days she has said, "If you have time to take a lunch break, you should be out selling." Gone are the days of casual small talk and ordering takeout together. Now, none of that happens. It was a precious time for employee communication, but thinking those days are gone makes me incredibly sad. However, there's no time to wallow in sentimentality today. Besides visiting our valued clients, I need to secure a new contract. If I skip the greetings for businesses and individuals whose orders are already confirmed, I could make more sales visits. But having been in this job for many years, I deeply believe that personal relationships are what matter most. It's enjoyable to work on and choose important couture pieces with a trusted tailor who understands you, and customers feel reassured by established relationships. That's why they buy expensive couture and choose us for their parties and wedding couture. Though I can't take my time, I make sure to greet our suppliers and valued clients carefully. At one elderly customer's home, I asked how their grandchild's wedding went. This grandmother had chosen and purchased her granddaughter's wedding couture with me. Hearing wonderful stories about the wedding and how satisfied they were with the couture made me really happy. When she said, "Please take care of my other granddaughter's wedding," I was truly delighted. As this goes, there's hardly any time left for visiting potential new clients, so naturally, I haven't secured any new contracts. The clock had just struck 2. I had to head back soon to make it in time for the meeting, so I started back to the office with heavy steps. "Welcome back. How did it go? You didn't slack off, so you must have snagged at least one contract, right?" Samantha's words made me mumble in response. Samantha, who had returned early for once, was here, and her presence was almost enough to drive me insane. Seemingly displeased with my reaction, Samantha kicked the desk and raised her voice. "Don't tell me you've got no results. Really? You're just dead weight to the company. Maybe you should start job hunting. Though, there's nothing less needed than an unskilled person in their 40s. Irritated by Samantha's words, I reported the little progress I had made. However, a client who previously purchased couture for a wedding was pleased and said they'd request our services again. Hearing my story, Samantha snorted. "When will they buy? How many pieces? What's the unit price? Is this going to be a continuous deal?" Accusingly questioning me, Samantha continued her criticism in a cold voice. "Listen, you seem to think socializing is sales. Sales isn't over until the product is delivered and the invoice is paid. It doesn't profit us to take your casual conversations seriously and brag about them." While I felt like arguing back against Samantha's point, it's true I hadn't secured any new contracts. Determined to land a contract tomorrow to prove her wrong, I started preparing for the upcoming meeting. But while I was stapling documents for everyone, Samantha suddenly said something unexpected. "Right, I have to leave for an appointment now, so let's postpone the meeting report till tomorrow." As Samantha began to get ready, I couldn't help but ask, "Wait a minute. I was told we had a meeting today. If we don't confirm and proceed with the orders today, we won't make it in time. It's essential for the president to be there. Do you really have an unavoidable appointment?" Samantha made an obviously annoyed face. "It's an important dinner. I don't have time to spend on you, so I'm leaving now." With that, she briskly headed towards the exit. Reaching for the door, she turned to me before leaving. "Don't think your work ends after the meeting. Once you've placed the orders, go out and bring back at least one contract. Of course, there's no overtime pay, so do your best." Samantha laughed heartily and left with a spring in her step. The person who came for the meeting was puzzled, thinking the president would be present, but I managed to get their understanding. In a small-scale company like ours, trust is everything. The previous president always stressed this to the employees and practiced it himself. He would always show up for sales and meetings, and after delivery, he provided meticulous service. This built trust from the community that has supported us thus far. But lately, I felt that trust in our company was waning. By sincerely handling the situation and securing orders as usual, I was able to gain understanding. After sending off our business partners, I immediately started preparing for more sales visits. I'm heading out for a bit, so you all can leave when it's convenient. Thanks for today. It was already completely dark, and work hours had long since ended. I greeted a few employees and headed out for sales. The next day, I arrived at work more spirited than ever. Yesterday, during my calls, I happened to speak with someone interested in renewing their company's uniforms. It wasn't a large company, but the conversation progressed smoothly, and we were able to agree on a contract right then. For now, it's just summer clothes and winter sweaters. Since we're not dealing with large corporations, the profit won't be substantial. However, if they liked our service, it could lead to renewing their winter attire, and possibly referrals to other businesses. I know well how such connections can lead to further opportunities. I felt light, both in heart and stature, thinking I could make a good report to Samantha. But my hopes were quickly dashed. Samantha, who arrived at work a bit late, called me and right away. "John, don't we have a report from yesterday's meeting? I'd like to hear about what happened afterward." "Yes, I'll report now." I walked over to Samantha with a spring in my step, but she was rubbing her temples, looking wary. "Are you okay? Are you feeling unwell, Miss President?" "Just get on with it," was all she said. There was a smell of alcohol. Apparently, she had been drinking until early morning and wasn't feeling well. Coming to work smelling of alcohol and looking so disoriented, what kind of president is that? Despite my astonishment at Samantha, I succinctly shared the events of yesterday. We proceeded with the order as usual for this year. There was some negotiation on price, but they understood that it wouldn't change moving forward. "Hold on." They asked for a discount. "You pushed back, wanting to raise the prices, right?" Samantha glared at me with bloodshot eyes. "No, of course, we'd like to raise prices given inflation. But since we're distributing the same products as other companies, that's difficult considering their profit margins. They wouldn't agree to that." Samantha became infuriated at my explanation. "That's why they are walking all over us. Without a strong stance like that, we won't take it. What will you do? It's not about their profits. You need to prioritize our profits first." Even though she's the president, I couldn't agree with Samantha's point of view. Sure, tough negotiations and pushing back are sometimes necessary, but business can't last if it's all about one party taking all the profit. Especially in dealings between companies, that's even more the case. Arguing would only add fuel to the fire. I continued my report from yesterday. We'll consider the pricing moving forward. Also, we secured a new contract. My report seemed to spark a slight interest in Samantha. "Not bad. How much profit will it bring?" "We've taken an order for summer clothing and winter sweaters for a company of a few dozen employees. It's not a huge scale, but it's a start for future opportunities." However, Samantha looked disappointed at my explanation. "That's it. And it's not even couture? Really, you're useless after all the runaround outside of work hours." This was her response. I had reached my breaking point. "Excuse me, but you don't understand anything about this job. It's these connections that get us work. Your focus on immediate profit is wrong." For the first time, I stood up to my boss. Samantha seemed taken aback by my reaction, but quickly reverted to her usual haughty demeanor. "Understood. It seems we just don't mesh well. You don't have to come in from tomorrow." I had reached my limit. I couldn't follow such a boss any longer. I responded on the spot. "Understood. I will resign effective today. Thank you for the brief time I've been here." At that moment, it was decided that I would leave the job I loved. What's going to happen now? Alone in the empty room, I worried about my future. Though I had left in a hurry, I had nowhere to go. Even though I enjoyed my work, my salary was never high, so I didn't have much in savings. Even if I lived frugally to the extreme, it was clear my money would run out quickly. One day, a familiar name popped up on my smartphone. Tom Wilson. Tom and I went to the same college, and for the first few years after graduation, we kept in touch and went out for drinks. But it had been years since we'd interacted outside of exchanging greeting cards. The call from an old friend made me overjoyed. "Long time no see. How have you been?" "Really? It's been a while." "I'm good. You sound well too, John." I was excited, but Tom's next words dampened my spirits. "How's work?" "Knowing you, John, I'd guess you're a capable boss with many subordinates." "That's tough to say, but I've been unemployed for a while." Tom was always upbeat, but even he seemed at a loss for words. "It must have been tough. Let's not talk over the phone. How about we go out for drinks? It's sudden, but how about today?" I eagerly accepted Tom's invitation. Just the thought of seeing Tom made me happy, and I felt like I needed someone to talk to. We decided on a place and time and agreed to meet at a pub we used to frequent. I was shocked. You clashing with the president and storming out of the company. You used to hate conflicts, always apologizing even when the other party was at fault. I was surprised too, but I just couldn't get along with the new president. Not understanding the field work is one thing, but not considering clients or partners at all. Tom listened to my complaints, nodding all the while. Even after years without seeing each other, I was grateful to have a friend with whom I could speak so openly. Did you always work in sales at that company? Sales was the main part, but I also worked on the company's website and tried developing new products. It was fun, but we never really got anywhere due to budget constraints. While showing Tom the company's website on my smartphone, I explained that I had made it myself. Tom was amazed. Did you really make this? I thought it was done by an amateur, but it's as good as if we had outsourced it. The previous president wanted a website that would attract young people, so I studied hard. Couture is beautiful, but the industry is dwindling. I had to think differently, but there's only so much we can do with our size. Tom leaned in as I talked. What were you thinking of? Tell me anything. Overwhelmed by Tom's enthusiasm, I shared my fears and what I hadn't been able to execute. The demand for everyday couture is decreasing, but the need for dressing up on special days or for social media is definitely increasing. Plus, considering inbound demand, focusing on special days rather than everyday use is the way to go. I passionately explained my vision to Tom. Besides, I wanted to create other products, not just couture. Delivering high-brand leather goods at a slightly lower price. Consumers would appreciate affordable quality products, and the profit margin would be high. We can't survive on thin margins alone. Tom listened intently, crossing his arms and pondering. Was it because of the initial investment, or did you not proceed because you had no funds? That and the current president harshly criticized the idea. She said a couture shop shouldn't bother with extras. I understood the president's point of view. I, too, wanted to preserve the old couture shop that the predecessor cherished without changing it. But it's impossible to resist the tide of time in a declining industry. I had hoped to bring new ideas to the company, but they were not welcomed. Tom finished his beer in one gulp, then turned to me. John, how about working for my company? I'll pay you a fixed salary equal to what you were making, plus commission on sales. Not a bad deal, right? Tom's eyes were serious. I knew Tom had started his own brand and was managing it as a sole proprietor, but I hadn't expected he could afford to hire someone like me. When I tried to confirm what he had said, Tom laughed and said, "You underestimate me. True, my main business is online, and I don't have a physical store, but that's enough. Nowadays, it's about time I expanded. I can't keep up with just outsourcing." Then Tom whispered to me the turnover of his store and how much he earned in a month so that others couldn't hear. Hearing the amount, my eyes widened in shock. He was making in a month what I earned in a year. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be counting on you from next week, he said. We agreed to formalize the contract later, but it was decided that I would be hired at Tom's company. At Tom's company, I immediately made an impact, restamping the previously hard-to-navigate and inconvenient product search website. The page views skyrocketed by more than tenfold. Additionally, I introduced suits and leather accessories to Tom's company, which had mainly been selling t-shirts. The usability and quality were well received, and word of mouth led to sales that soon overshadowed the t-shirts. Hey, the orders won't stop, and production can't keep up. Can you do something about it? Tom asked. Offering good products at low prices, plus the brand reliability Tom had built up over time, I was really happy to be able to do what I couldn't before due to budget constraints. Even as we spoke, purchase notifications kept popping up on the tablet. Production was nearly at its limit, and Tom seemed happy, but scratching his head. Your old company let go of a real talent, Tom commented. It was just good timing and the right environment. Anyone could have done what I did, I replied. Suddenly, my smartphone rang. Looking at the display, Samantha's name appeared. Wondering what she wanted, I nervously answered the phone. Hello, John. Something terrible has happened. Can you come back? Actually, I need you to come back right now. Is that okay? Samantha sounded more flustered than ever, so I decided to listen. What's wrong? Our kosher customers say they'll go elsewhere if you're not here. Other partners are also asking for you, and the company website is having continuous issues without updates. Can you come back soon and help? Even though I was no longer with the company, I responded politely, I see. I don't think it's appropriate for me to deal directly with clients, so I'll pass. But I can fix the website and system issues on my next day off. I didn't hand that part over, so that's my bad. I thought I was being reasonable, but Samantha seemed unsatisfied. What are you talking about? Just come back. After all the company has done for you, what are you doing wandering around? I was terminated from your company. Are you offering to rehire me? I asked. I could hear a sigh of frustration from the other end. Don't act so smug. You must be struggling to make ends meet, right? I can pay you the same salary as before, so don't worry about that. Tom burst out laughing hearing Samantha's words. He gestured as if to say, tell her off. Do you know my salary now? I probably make in a month what you earn in a year. My salary would likely surpass the annual revenue of my former company in just a few months. Though I had fond memories of my old workplace, I was fulfilled in my current job and certainly didn't want to return to work under such a boss. After bidding Samantha goodbye, I hung up. Tom's company grew busier with just me joining, leading to partnerships with outsource companies and recruiting new talents, rapidly expanding its scale. Seeing products I developed being appreciated and posted on social media, I felt truly glad to have joined this company. As I navigated through my bustling days, a newly hired clerk came to inform me of a visitor. Curious, I headed to the reception room where I found Samantha. John, I'm begging you, please come back to our company. Upon seeing me, Samantha pleaded so desperately it was almost pitiable. The once domineering Samantha, who used to lash out at employees, was nowhere to be seen. What happened? Let's hear it first, I said. I managed to get Samantha to sit on the sofa. She looked so worn out, it was hard to remember her once lively face. Since then, we've been losing customers nonstop. Not just individual clients, but corporate partnerships as well. I can't even pay the employees' salaries. If things continue like this, we'll have to close the shop. I need your help. While I felt sorry for Samantha, she had brought this upon herself, neglecting communication with people and solely pursuing the company's profits. It was inevitable that partners would turn their backs. I'd like to help, but I'm swamped with work at my current company. I'm sorry, but I can't assist you. Samantha, in a last-ditch effort, begged me for help, almost as if clutching at straws. Samantha, pull yourself together. Have you done everything you can? Now is the time to hit the ground running to regain trust. You need to meet face to face, understand their needs, and empathize with their concerns. Please take the time to do what you've neglected until now. Meticulously doing just that will surely make a difference. We can talk after that. Samantha wiped her tears and nodded firmly. I was wrong. I'll start doing it from now on. With that, Samantha stood up. It was good as she realized even a little about what's important in business. However, keeping a company going isn't that easy. Though I said that honestly, starting from scratch now seemed nearly impossible. I'd remembered the face of the predecessor I owed so much to. I wanted to do something to prevent the company I loved from going bankrupt, but I'm swamped with the business I'm currently handling and can't think of anything I could do. I bit my lip, feeling the weight of my powerlessness. Several years have passed since I joined Tom's company. As our company grew, so did the number of companies we dealt with. John, what do you think of this? I believe it would be perfect for an important dinner date. I was impressed by Samantha's proposal. Yay, it's exactly as I envisioned. The fabric is lovely too. The response was good when we announced it on social media, so let's place an order for $50,000 worth with your company for now. Thank you so much. Since then, the performance of Tom's company has skyrocketed, and we've had to establish new departments and hire more staff. I contributed to producing hit products, especially in the suit department. We developed new suits incorporating couture designs and fabrics as accents, which were well received not just by Americans, but also by foreigners, rapidly expanding our market. The challenge was securing a steady supply of quality fabric and connecting with companies strong in couture, which led me to contact Samantha. Samantha not only sourced the fabric, but also provided consumer-oriented suggestions, resulting in a better product than initially planned. I really appreciate having you, Samantha. Thank you. Samantha blushed at my words. I learned what's important from you, John. I was such a pathetic person. Despite being a president, I was desperate to show my authority in an industry I knew nothing about. But that was a terrible mistake. Now I hear she's built good relationships with her employees and partners, earning the community's trust. I'm convinced Samantha's company will continue to thrive. Tom, who had been all about work, found a significant partner. Today is his wedding day. I was as happy for Tom's marriage as if it were my own. Congratulations. You've never looked better. Well, it's all thanks to the design of this suit. I hope I'm not outdone by it. Laughing at that, we shared a moment of joy, brightening the mundane days and making a one-day-only special occasion even more memorable. Clothes have the power. I'm happy to work with such power. I want to continue creating work that adds a touch of beauty to someone's daily life.